Hello, everyone. My name is Ken Evans. I'm the Vice President General Manager here at DTN for our energy business. And it's my pleasure today to have a conversation with Jim Stovell, who's the founder and CEO of Stovell AI Systems. And Jim's one of our strategic partners here at DTN, and he and I have been traveling around the country talking to a lot of different customers. And we just wanted to share some insights today on the conversations we've been having. So, welcome, Jim.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ken. Long time no see.
Yeah, it has been. We were just a few days ago in a
That's
cab
right.
together. So appreciate that. Or
We
Uber, I
get we
should say,
get we
right?
get to hang out all over America, which is fantastic together,
That's right. It's
and
fun.
and the globe sometimes.
That's right. That's right. So, hey, listen, Jim. So, just thought it'd be helpful. Just one of the conversations you and I've been having is as we travel around, talk to different customers. Our new operational decisioning platform really talks about the critical importance of having operational ready data. How does Stovell AI use and leverage that quality of our data to really accelerate the delivery of value to your customers? So
Yeah. So okay. So we're in the business together of helping our customers who are operating these large energy companies, fuel companies, helping them make better decisions in kind of a systematically dependable fashion. And so, in order to do that, DTN is obviously at the heart of all these transactions. You all provide, or you guys create the transaction data that ends up feeding our customers' SAP systems, whatever it is, as systems of record. And our job is to take that data and then to predict some high value business event in the future. And so if we think about this kind of operational decision making and decision grade means it's got to be accurate. Okay. And so it's really important that the data we're using is the trusted data source, which DTN is. In terms of like enabling operational decision making, it's got to enable time to money and speed. So the fact that the DTN data is available and accurate, and then the third piece is we don't want the data and the use of the data to be a resource drain. So by that means like the great thing about like the DTN structure is when we look to operationalize an AI system powered by a DTN, virtually zero IT resources, virtually zero time lag involved in getting systems up and live. And then the fourth component would be, in terms of value from like DTN operational ready data, would be as the customers operations change, you all are woven into the operations of our customers. And so as their footprint expands, as they bring on new customers, as their demand profiles shift, your system is basically defining their new operational footprint, and therefore there's no lag as their businesses evolve.
yeah, we can sense those things, right? It can help retrain your models really, quickly, right? That aspect, because we do track all the actual operations, and so I think that's as we've talked to different people, they spend an inordinate amount of time trying to rationalize and clean up their own data from various data sources. But with us in our collaboration, we've been able to really prove that hey, we can walk in from day one and start delivering value. So I think that's a cool feature between the two of
Yeah,
us.
it's really amazing, and well, I think it's amazing that what we can do together is we can take this whole promise of AI and getting something out of AI, and we can turn it into something that's realizable. You can see it; it's tangible. It reflects their business reality, fast time to money, and then adapts to their change. So
Yeah, I think
you know,
that. Yeah, that fits in well with, because there's a lot of companies that, we've talked to almost everybody we talk to, right? We go in and they tell us that, hey, yeah, we're playing with AI, we're doing this, we're doing that. And there's different, sort of or generic, I would call it, AI platforms out there, right? That'll give you all the tools and the different models and make all these promises. But one of the things that I think, has a real advantage, particularly your team, Jim, you guys are really experts in this wholesale fuel business, that match our expertise. So why don't you talk a little bit about what's the advantage of walking in with this true verticalized AI solution versus just sort of those generic platforms? So,
Yeah. So in this business that we're in this vertical, you and I both spent a lot of time serving customer needs. The devil's in the details. There's operational processes that are complex, whether it's in pricing or whether it's in supply, or whether it's in sales, new customer acquisition for our joint customers, and there's a lot of inherent complexity. And what that leads to is that our customers are expecting a couple of things. They're expecting us, if we're going to deliver a system into their hands, they're expecting it to be relevant, fast, and deliver a win. And they're also expecting us to come in with expertise and a perspective on how they can maximize performance. That's what they want, and that's what we can deliver together, which is a lot of fun when we're doing it live with customers. And what they don't want is they don't want someone kind of learning on the fly and saying, well, wait, how does your business work? That's not what they're after. They want to see the impact. They want it to be tangible. They want it to mesh with their process in a real way. And so the vertical specific, I think it really helps us be relevant fast, where we're pointing our combined capabilities at the right relevant business challenge, business opportunity, and then we're both delivering it into the hands of the people in a way that they can operate, and then we're measuring outcomes in a way that conforms to how our customers monitor their own business performance.
Yeah, Jim, I remember one of those conversations. It was I can't remember if this was one with you or not, but I remember the customer telling me specifically when I was offering him, come in with a point of view, and he says, you need to come in with the point of view for my business, because there's so many consultants. I can hire any consultant I want to come in and, suck my brain for, a few weeks and then spit it back out to me. He says, but that doesn't really add a lot of value, right? So what they really want is somebody, as you said, that can come in. We've taken a look at their data together, usually right up front, and not the whole, not their whole business, but a portion of it, and can give them some key insights right off the bat, which is, I think, it's been pretty cool to watch that happen, right? When you show them. So
yeah, let's deliver a large scale tangible win. Let's deliver it in a way that fits into the operator's processes and is relevant to what the leadership team wants to get out of your data and our AI.
that's perfect. So now another thing, clearly, obviously it's not all a bed of roses when we have these conversations. You and I get tackled with some pretty touchy subjects at time, right? And probably the first one is everybody's afraid, particularly this industry, right? They're worried about data security and privacy. And I've had people say, well, if we give you guys our data and you have 85% of the industry's data already, isn't that going to allow our competitors to get access and start to see our positions, right? They'll be able to, they actually think that, hey, they'll be able to use AI to reverse engineer. So how do you really address that, this whole data security and privacy issue?
Yeah, I mean, but by the way, I think I think there's only one way to fly. It's just like there's the right way to operate, and I think, I don't think, I'm very confident that the two of us have come up with the right form factor for our customers. And so, like in terms of like, there's only one way to fly. That means something really specific around security. Any customer data that you all are managing, so transactional data, or that our AI is using to either to train a model for a customer or to measure outcomes, any customer data can only be used for that customer. That's kind of bedrock criticality in terms of your confidential information is for the use of your business only, Mr. Customer, and no one else. And no one else is really important. That's number one. Number two, the way, as you know, the way we've designed our systems together is each one of our AI systems for one of the DTN customers, it's trained from the perspective of that customer. So it's trained from this concept we call the home team. The home team, all of its neurons are developed. All of its architecture is trained from the home team's perspective, and that customer is the only customer that gets that model and the output of that model. So it's like, number one, your data is for the use of your systems and no one else, period. Number two, any AI system that we develop built on this fantastic DTN data set only gets output delivered to that customer. And I think it's, it sounds, maybe that just sounds kind of simple. Maybe it sounds common sense after we share our joint approach to our customers, but I think that's really the way to go. And it's been born. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think I agree with you, particularly that single instance, right? And defining the models and training the models for the home team. Those are unique instances, right, for each of the customers. And just one of the things, use the data. It's certainly, DTN, we're in the business of also creating sort of benchmarks for the industry and standards, as you know, right? Like, so we have a view of what the overall demand for the market is, but we take great care and pain, Jim, to make sure that we safeguard and secure that data such that it cannot be reverse engineered, right? We have all the right policies for data aggregation and normalization so that nobody would ever, be able to back into what somebody's data is. Because at the end of the day, I know one of the solutions you guys have, you want to be able to help customers see, well, how's their market share, right? How can they optimize that share, right? And you got to have a denominator for that somewhere, right? So somebody's got to create the denominator for that equation, right? So
yes,
yeah.
I mean, that's a great example. Yeah. So just something as simple as describing market share. There's the home team, the customer, and then there's the rest of the market.
Right.
And when you all are calculating the market, that denominator you're talking about, again, there's only one way to fly. It has to be anonymized, and that's how I have to do it.
No, I think
but again, it's just like when they talk about how many shares traded on the S&P or the NASDAQ, or the Dow in a given day. They don't say who bought and sold what shares. No, it's this much volume passed through. Great, and it's anonymized as it has to be.
And ultimately, Jim, you with your financial background, having those two pieces of data like that, that helps make the market overall more efficient, right? As well, right? You have to, and that's what we're looking to do here with our systems is how do we make, take friction out of the fuel supply chain and help it, operate better for all the stakeholders in the supply chain, right? So it's good. Well, listen, the other element that we always hear about, right, and it's sort of the scare factor here that people always come up with was, well, Jim, I'm a pricing manager today, right? And if I bring your system in, does that mean you're taking my job? Stovell, Stovell's AI model is going to take my job. how do you address the issue of, the managers, the operators? Is it really taking away their job or helping them do better? What's your perspective on that, or what have you seen?
Yeah,
I
well,
guess maybe more importantly.
yeah. So I was just on a call earlier today with a broader team, one of our joint customers, and we had operators, we had management, and we had leadership. We had a big crew, and this was earlier this morning, and we were delivering for this customer. We deliver demand forecast and elasticity forecast that helps them price wholesale unbranded fuels in a better fashion, achieving volume goals, achieving profit goals. And what had happened with and it's what we've seen all the time is the operators that are managing their business. They're contending with uncertainty that rears its head every single day. It never goes away. They always have to contend with this market volatility and this uncertainty. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to deliver like a systematic advantage directly into their hands. And the response we heard it this morning, we hear it all the time, is it helps the operators do their job better. It reduces their uncertainty, helps them score wins, and helps them score wins at a scale that ties in with their comp goals and with the leadership team's overall business goals. So what we've seen is that the teams that have adopted our AI, these predictive systems, these teams have basically elevated their impact, positive impact for their companies they work for, and they're getting elevated in their roles. And I'll just share. So what we've seen is instead of AI, there's a lot of applications. I guess there's a lot of news out there about AI taking away jobs. The world that you and I work with, Ken, our customers need to get more done with less resources. They have higher performance goals, less resources. It's happening. We know, you and I know it's happening. And there's those expectations for all the big companies and the little companies that we work with. But the teams that are making decisions using our data, those decisions regarding uncertainty are going to rear their head every day. And we're helping them kind of just be better at their job, be more successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and I were at remember you and I were at a round table a couple of weeks ago, and there was a mix of senior leadership from, Fortune 20 companies, and then also some operators who are senior leadership all the way down to daily operators. And in that mix, what was really cool was hearing how the operators, we have higher relevance, higher impact on business performance, and that's what we want to enable here.
Yeah, absolutely. I seen it as more of enabling people to take better decisions, right? That's some of the things with, even our new fuel operations hub, right? This operational decisioning platform, the tools that we give them, which, we leverage AI even in being able to create, to standardize and normalize that data, right? Because it doesn't always come in clean, as you said, right? We've got to do some work to do that, to make that operational decision ready. But we can take away all the time they spend, majority of their day just gathering and reconciling data, and we can put them right to work with, hey, here's the key decisions, and have AI actually recommend to them, here are the top decisions, the most impactful ones you should be thinking about, right? Don't worry about this other stuff, right? High grade it, and, help me focus on which one of those actions, if I spend my valuable time, where am I going to deliver the most impact for my organization? I think that's awesome, right? When we can, they're empowered, right? It really empowers the people instead of disempowers them, right? So,
yeah. So I think what we're in the business of is I think we can take away data drudgery, that friction and that hassle work of collecting and assembling, and then can I trust it? We take away the drudgery and then we help give a perspective that's just advantageous. And I was talking to one of my longtime customers, and he had this story. He was walking through the cafeteria, ran into the CFO, again, another very large company, and the CFO stopped him, shook his hand, and said, "Hey, thank you for doing what you're doing. We know you're using AI, and we know you're helping us achieve our business performance. Thank you for being at the leading edge of this and helping the biz." And so this whole thing of like powering people up to like to deliver the most to the organization is really powerful, and it's really real.
I like that word. I'm going to have to remember that one. Data drudgery. I think that's a good one. I might
Right. So
steal
then the opposite of data drudgery, we want to eliminate that, and that's what we can do together on behalf of our customers. So we want to streamline operations, streamline implementation. Okay. So the opposite of data drudgery is when we can come into a customer and deliver a nearly instant on pre-trained model experience right into their hands. And this whole leveraging this DTN infrastructure, you all have been in this vertical, I believe, for 35 years?
35, 40 years. Yeah, actually, the roots of it goes back more than 4 decades was the roots of the DTN energy business when the industry got together and started working on, a PIDEX data standard. And so it's sort of grown since then. So you're right. We've got a lot of history and experience in this space. So
right. So that history means that there's a dependability in the data, but then we're doing something next generation here where we're allowing you all and we are enabling pre-trained customer specific models to be developed and delivered in instant on experience. And what that means, there's faster time to money, time to value. We aren't sucking up and trying to get into an IT backlog where they're already going to have a lot of jobs, and we're not trying to displace or move the stack around. No, we just come in and deliver the edge, and then we get into this virtuous cycle. Deliver the first wins, builds trust. Wow, this team can actually leverage AI, can leverage all the DTN data, and that opens up the next phases of, we'd always thought about changing our thinking around either supply or pricing or go to market. Mm-hmm. And then it leads this virtuous cycle of speeding up the next ideas for business performance improvement.
I'm glad you used the word cycle, because there is a virtuous cycle from being able to, get on to the next set of problems. But there's also the very tactical operational cycle of closing that loop of, we have operational data that then gets served up. You create insights that enable certain decisions. But then I think the beauty of our partnership, Jim, is that, we're to that point where we can take the actions and then go back and execute it. So it creates that whole virtual cycle with the data again, right? So it's very powerful.
Right. I think this is the right design. I think this is the right design. In other words, instead of taking all the they said a few years ago, data is the new oil. It's got all this potential energy in it. Instead of that being a giant cumbersome process, what we're trying to do as real technology partners for our customers is to say, hey, let's take this data, let's turn it from potential energy into kinetic energy in the form of some really high power applications that fit into process, like you said, into that daily process, that daily cycle, measure outcomes, builds performance, builds confidence, and then the teams then jump on to the successive set of opportunities we can offer.
And because we've done all that integration and work to those core, enterprise systems, that's what gives you that data and allows you, you mentioned it earlier, to have almost that instant on capability. You can walk in and without a bunch of IT support and taking their, fitting it into, that's my background, Jim. Remember, I came out of the enterprise systems world, and, you always had to when can I shut it down for those little bit of time to be able to make this upgrade, right? And you guys can come in to do that instant on. I love it. So, hey, well, listen, it's been a good conversation here. Why don't we make sure I don't want to end without giving you the opportunity to share sort of some real world examples. And I know you can't share any specific customer names, but can you give at least some color to a real world example of how they've used both our decision grade data, your verticalized AI solutions, and we're driving, value to the bottom line. So
definitely, of course, and that's what I mean. You and I have done this together, where we're working with our customers about the specific wins we're generating. But it's an array. It's helping large branded fuel wholesalers, helping them, for instance, predict volume spikes, predict volumetric anomalies that they can take advantage of from delivering value to marketplace. So taking low frequency anomalies, predicting them with really high accuracy, and allowing more effective marketing of product. There's the unbranded fuel wholesalers, where we can forecast elasticity. They can understand where they can day by day, location by location, where can they dynamically harvest volume or profit or a blended mix. There's big, large C-store chains where our combined data understands what are the right elastic environments where they have more or less pricing power, and where can they meet their customers in the most effective way. And then there's also helping out sales teams looking for site expansion for either branded or unbranded operations, and understanding brand value. And in each of these business cases, there's DTN data flowing through AI systems, delivering a predictive outcome right into a user's hands, outcome and accuracy measured, business impact measured, and the operators are winning and leadership's winning.
Yeah, and it's very impressive from what I've seen, because you're talking, I mean, and these are not small. I mean, these are, I think the smallest one I've seen from you, Jim, and you're talking tens of millions of dollars a year, right? Type of impact that you're able to deliver to these companies, which even in some of the bigger companies I've been part of, that's a move the needle still, particularly for the tight margins and in some of this, in this part of the industry. So
yeah, but Ken, so we both work, with this common set of great customers, and they're operating at scale, and I think it's incumbent on us to deliver value generation, deliver profit growth to them at a scale that they care about. So absolutely,
we
love
it. No, I love it. It's great. So, well, listen, Jim, this has been a great conversation, and I appreciate, you being able to come on with me and share just a little bit of insights of the conversations we've been having. And, I think both of us would invite anybody that's listening to this to, let us know. We'd love to come and have that conversation with you and see how DTN and Stovell together can deliver some great value to you. So thank you, Jim, and have a great weekend.
It's fun. We love it.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Ken.
Bye now.